What is going on, everybody? My name is Mark Farzy. This is the Farzy Show. Welcome in, everybody, there on the Jacob Media YouTube channel, as well as the Farzy Show YouTube channel, and, of course, the people on the podcast. Welcome in. Welcome all. We got a Phillies to discuss today. They take their series with the Chicago White Sox before coming home for a 4-game series with the god-awful Colorado Rockies. The Eagles add a wide receiver, and I had a realization with the 76ers. I'm bored. I'm bored right before I'm going to be extremely excited. Because as I have said, this feels like glorified preseason, glorified regular season. Some might call that the playoffs. Fair enough. Before the second round of the playoffs was all what we've been waiting for. I feel like the last 360 some days, whatever, the last 350 some days have all been the ramp and the build up to this moment, getting past the first round and into the second round where the real season starts. That might sound terrible, but I mean, look, playing for a second round series is just where you want them to begin. Getting past that is where the party really starts. And we went through seasons, 3.5 seasons, if you want to call it that, of god-awful, terrible basketball in the city of Philadelphia. I could wait one more of a 50-win season, being entertained, and then moving into the second round of the playoffs where it all really begins to see if the Sixers can finally make it past that point for the first time since Allen Iverson. Paul Hudrick of Liberty Ballers will stop by the show to discuss all things Philadelphia 76ers. But let me just start off with this. If you caught the show yesterday, first of all, I'm just very happy to say that PJ is back. So it's good to have PJ back. And I spilled an entire mug of water over my console yesterday. So for the people listening right now, I hope I sound fantastic because I bought a new mixer. And as most of you know, I had to move. I moved into the suburbs recently. I was going to this great place in Old City for all my equipment. I had no idea where to go around here. And it turns out the place I have to go is Guitar Center. I don't know if you guys have been to a Guitar Center. If you're not a music person, oh, it's a totally different world. It's cool. It makes you feel like I'm in that in Wayne's World. I'd like to see this Fender Stratocaster, please. Again, yes. Again, yes. Thanks. I like to play. That's how I felt yesterday at Guitar Center buying a new mixer. If you haven't been to one, it's a good time. You should check it out. So hopefully I sound just fine and dandy on today's program. Let's start it off with the Philadelphia Phillies, who did get that series win over the White Sox yesterday. And talk about our friend Trey Turner, who was making things happen for the Phillies lineup. Triple short of the cycle. While Taijuan Walker was on the hill handling his business, the bullpen came in. They certainly handled their business in this ball game. You had Gregory Soto just looking like $1 million out there on the mound, just throwing nasty sliders by batters left and right. Then you had Craig Kimbrell come into the bullpen. He was handling his business at 94-mile-per-hour four-seam fastball. Had a lot of life, had a lot of movement like the previous game. And then Jose Alvarado came in and continued to be the most dominant, or one of the most dominant pitchers out of the bullpen for the last 3-4 months of the baseball season, dating back to last year. It has been incredible to watch, really, Jose Alvarado. But now, this bullpen just might be coming along. And Trey Turner, although the batting average has been there, the on-base percentage has been there, I don't feel like we have really seen the full skill set yet from Trey Turner in this lineup. And yesterday we saw a little bit of that pop as he got things going in the first inning. Again, the Phillies jump out of the first inning to get at least one run in this instance, with Trey Turner coming up big with his first home run in a Phillies uniform. That was great to see during the ball game yesterday. Then the next thing you know, he's getting double, he gets a single. He just ends up being a triple short of the cycle. Full display what Trey Turner could do for you, including stealing a base for you in the ball game yesterday. This series in Chicago, after only splitting with the Cincinnati Reds, this series in Chicago with the Southsiders, I felt like just give us a winning road trip. And that's what they gave us. It was terrible in between in game 2 of the doubleheader. That was awful, but Giolito just dominated. And sometimes, and I hate to admit this, you got to tip your cap to the opponent because, yes, they're getting paid too. And guys like Giolito are pretty damn good pitchers. So tip cap, walk away with only one run, with one hit in that game, and then try to get right in the last game of the 3-game series. That's exactly what the Phillies did in this game to the tune of a 5-2 victory. And if there is one guy on this team that I think has jumped out and surprised me the most on this squad, it's not Bryson Stott. and his 17-game hitting streak, a record, a franchise record. Not that I would have predicted that, but I thought Bryson Stott was pretty damn good. I thought he was only going to get better, so this is great. Alec Bohm hasn't shocked me. We're all saying, oh, that's the muscle. He was hitting some long balls in spring training. We need a little more pop out of that bat anyway. He's got 3 home runs on the season, good batting average, a little bit of a rut right now, but struck out looking twice yesterday. But for the most part this season, he has been fantastic. Not that shocked by it. If you told me at this point of the season that Nick Castellanos wouldn't have a home run yet, I'd say I'm a little surprised by that. But the guy that's really jumped off the box score, the guy that's really jumped off the TV and into our living rooms and announced his presence in the 2023 season with authority is Brandon Marsh, who had his 3rd home run of the season. He could easily have like 5 home runs this season. 2 long balls that he had were more than warning track power. I mean, they were a foot within being another home run for him. He's had 2 separate hits like that were a couple of inches from the top of the wall or maybe a foot down from the top of the wall. He could have had a couple more home runs. But what Brandon Marsh has done so far this season, I think speaks volumes for him and his work ethic, as well as Kevin Long, and we'll praise him in just a second. But what you're getting from Brandon Marsh, who's already been promoted to the lineup, and I've highlighted that plenty of times, is nothing short of spectacular. When you acquired him, you're talking about a 224 hitter from the Angels that comes in here to Philadelphia, and you're thinking, well, you have a defensive center fielder in this deal. I mean, I'm not just going to assume that this guy's just going to figure it out in Philadelphia as to how to hit from the plate, but that's exactly what he did. We've talked about his near 290 batting average as a Philly last year after he was acquired. And then you look at the stat sheet for him this year, and he has been fantastic. 368 batting average for him this year. Been absolutely wonderful from the plate. He's got 3 home runs now for you on the season. Could easily be 5, which would be something. That would be a team lead in there, but he doesn't. And when it comes to the on-base percentage, he has just been amazing. And he's just such a headsy player for the most part. We've talked about the rounding third of the Yankees series, whatever. Since then, you haven't really seen a problem from him. And then this year, you see him getting on base at a rate of 419 on base percentage with that 368 batting average, the 3 home runs. He's got 11 RBIs. I mean, he has just become a complete player and 6 doubles already on the season. If you would have told me at the time that they traded Logan O'Hoppe away, which is like one of their best prospects, for Brandon Marsh, and my reaction at the time to that deal was, this seems really odd to me that you wouldn't package O'Hoppe for, I don't know, a more proven starter as in a starting pitcher. They didn't do that. And Dave Dombrowski, credit to the brilliant baseball man that he is, and not that I would ever put myself ahead of Dave Dombrowski in terms of knowing the game, but it just didn't make sense. It wasn't that they just traded O'Hoppe for Marsh. I mean, okay, but they wouldn't use O'Hoppe in a bigger deal to get a better player. Well, this deal seems to have worked out pretty fantastic for both the Angels and the Phillies because Marsh is playing like an all-star right now, and O'Hoppe became immediately their number 1 prospect, and now at the big league level has already cranked 4 home runs for the Angels. So it seems like it's working out pretty well for both teams, but certainly it looks like the Phillies have won this trade by a pretty huge margin. It's good that it's working out for O'Hoppe in Anaheim, but over here in Philadelphia, I did not expect to see this leap forward this year for Brandon Marsh. I am incredibly impressed with Brandon Marsh and what he has done for the Phillies in his time, not even a full season as a Philadelphia Philly. Now, where does this all come from? Well, you're looking at the guy that out there in Anaheim hit 226, all right? Comes over here to Philadelphia, and you're thinking, it was all of a sudden, wave a magic wand, and this guy's going to be a threat from the plate to get on base and maybe hit a home run and get extra base hits. Well, that's exactly what he's become here. And I think that speaks volumes, not just to him and his work ethic, but also to Kevin Long as the hitting coach here in Philadelphia. And if Kevin Long wants to build his resume in Major League Baseball, go from a hitting coach to maybe a bench coach and then maybe go to a manager, there is nobody I am slapping out there on my resume at the top of the spot than Brandon Marsh. Look what he did there, and look how I cracked the code here. I mean, you could talk about guys like Bryson Stott. I mean, he was a top pick. You can talk about guys like Alec Bohm. He was a top pick. Brandon Marsh was not. And the fact that you were able to crack the code with this guy is pretty special. That's the guy that I think goes on the top of the resume for Kevin Long if he wants a bigger job in Major League Baseball. Personally, I don't want him to have that job. I want him to stay the Phillies hitting coach for the foreseeable future. But my goodness, what a job he has done with Brandon Marsh. And I'm not taking any credit away from Brandon Marsh because it's up to the player. They got to put in the hours. They got to put in the work ethic. But Kevin Long seemed to do a fantastic job of relating to these players, getting in their head, helping them work on things that they need to work on in order to become better ball players. Trey Turner, after the game yesterday, after his 3-hit, stolen base, home run performance, talked after the game about how he had to make an adjustment at the plate. That's where your hitting coach really comes in. I mean, if you could get younger guys like Brandon Marsh or Bryson Stott or even Alec Boehm, you could get even Mickey Moniak when he was here, pull him aside, break down things for him. But for the most part, especially with the veteran players, the veterans will often go to the hitting coach and say, all right, what am I doing? All right, I was 0 for 8 in the doubleheader yesterday. What the hell am I doing? What can I do? And they'll say, well, you're doing the same with your elbow. It's a little off. You should do this. And then you can all of a sudden make that correction. Whatever the adjustment was, they didn't get specific yesterday, but whatever the adjustment was, it worked fantastic for Trey Turner in the lineup. And I got to think that some of that has to go to the hitting coach because ultimately, if you have a more veteran player like Trey Turner, they're going to go to the hitting coach and say, all right, well, what's going on? And the hitting coach will, I was watching the film from yesterday, and you're doing this little thing with your foot that you don't know what to do. Whatever the adjustment was, it worked beautifully at the plate yesterday for Trey Turner. And again, I think a lot of that goes back to Kevin Long. So good for the Phillies. I feel a lot better about life with the Phillies winning baseball games, a winning road trip after a split with the Reds, and they take 2 of 3 from the Chicago White Sox. Now the Phillies, they come home, ladies and gentlemen, where they have a 4-game series against the Rockies. And then after that 4-game series with the Rockies, they host the Seattle Mariners for a 3-game series in South Philly as well. Tonight's game is a 6:40 start time. Matt Strahm gets the start for the Phils against Feltner. He'll be in the game. Feltner for the Rockies will be in the game tonight against Matt Strahm. The other thing that goes into tonight's game is that the Rockies are off to a bit of a rocky start. To say the absolute least, this season. The Rockies have had a lot of struggles. While we have been crossing our fingers that the Phillies could get back to 500, they should, frankly, get back to 500 in this series. They're 8-11 going into this series. Rockies come to town with the worst record in the National League at 5-14 on this still April season. So this is a game that we're hoping the Phillies can turn things around, build on what they did on the offseason or in the road trip and be able to come in here and hopefully tattoo Ryan Feltner, who comes in with an 8.78 ERA on the season. So Matt Strahm, the lefty, will be on the bump against the righty Ryan Feltner tonight. Let's talk a little Philadelphia Eagles football because they made an acquisition yesterday. Olamide Zaccheaus, yes, is their new wide receiver, a new wide receiver on the team. Smaller guy, 5'8". I know everyone's really excited that he went to St. Joe's Prep. Has played his entire season after being an undrafted rookie with the Atlanta Falcons. He has played his entire career with the Falcons. His career highs were all set last year or matched last year. He had 40 catches for 61 targets, 533 yards, another career high, 3 touchdowns, matches his career high. He has had 6 touchdowns in his last 2 seasons. He played in all 17 games last season for the Atlanta Falcons, and he comes into Philadelphia, obviously, with having experience with the Eagles. Backup quarterback now in Marcus Mariota. This is a nice acquisition. They added depth. I'm not over the moon. I'm not thinking this is going to be a next breakout star. But this is a guy that I think Philadelphia will like. Anytime you get an undrafted free agent that comes in, and he was undrafted, signed with the Falcons. Now, 4 years later, he's signing with the Eagles for his 5th NFL season. He's 25 years old, be 26 when the season starts. Anytime you have a guy like that, and he does have the local connection to St. Joe's Prep, I think a lot of people in Philadelphia love it because he's got the underdog story attached to his name. Didn't get drafted, comes into the scene here in the NFL, and all of a sudden he makes himself into a legit wide receiver, a legit target for his quarterback. Anybody that puts in that kind of work and they hang around for at least 4 more years, and now we're going to be hanging around for a 5th year, I think people take to that. It's a nice acquisition. That's all it is. It's a solid football player that you're adding to the mix for Jalen Hurts. Obviously, there's familiarity there with the backup, but I don't think that had anything to do with bringing him in. Just something worth acknowledging. And it's a guy that I think will be a very good body in camp with the hopes that he makes the team. And I'm rooting for him. Anytime with a local product, undrafted guy, I obviously root for him to do well here in Philadelphia. So nice acquisition, nice job. The bigger thing for me is as this story goes on, and today we have Paul Hudrick to talk Sixers ahead of Game 3. Tomorrow we're going to be joined by none other than the great Derek Gunn. And as this story progresses, I just can't help but think Howie really wants to get Buda Baker, and I think Buda Baker really wants to come to Philadelphia. As we have talked about with the kind of perfect storm that is the Jalen Hurts contract, where, yes, it's big money. Yes, it's $51 million as an average annual salary, but it's not going to hamstring the Eagles when it comes to making other acquisitions for the duration of the 5-6 years that Jalen Hurts will be the Eagles quarterback. Because you have two willing parties in Jalen Hurts, who I think overall wants to win above all else, and Howie Roseman, who knows how to manipulate the cap probably better than anybody else in the NFL. So the reason that matters is because I think you're going to have Jalen Hurts deferring money to open up cap for other players to be brought in with the intent that they're going to help them win, obviously. So those are two willing parties looking to help each other. I think you have the same thing in Buda Baker and Howie Roseman. Two willing parties that are willing to help each other to achieve the ultimate goal, which would be bringing Buda Baker in here to South Philadelphia. I think there's no doubt Howie Roseman would want that player. You have a huge needed safety. And right now you have a safety that's an all-pro that wants to come to Philly. Oh, and you're talking about a championship window? Oh, you were so close. You were so close last year to winning a Super Bowl. This helps you tremendously. If there's a will, there's a way for Howie. And the more this story progresses, the closer we get to the draft. I told you yesterday, the Jordan Mailata deal, the restructure of that contract doesn't help you tremendously this year, but it helps you a little bit. I don't put it past Howie to get something done if there's two willing parties. And if Buda Baker is willing to come to Philadelphia, then I think that's just a matter of time. There's a need here in Philly. There's a want from his side. And the other thing that goes even beyond Howie is the idea that if you come here to Philadelphia, you know you have a quarterback. This is the beautiful thing about knowing you have a quarterback. This is the beautiful thing about knowing that you have the guy in Jalen Hurts. Not only do you have a franchise quarterback, which is great, but you have an MVP caliber quarterback also. You have an all-pro quarterback that has already played in the Super Bowl and that has already finished second in the MVP voting to Patrick Mahomes. That's a guy a lot of players want to play with and play for. Just like we played for you yesterday, Buda Baker talking about Nick Sirianni and the culture and how great the culture is. The culture is great. Everyone loves the culture. Culture is beautiful. Just like that. Another big thing, more tangible thing is look at that guy under center or in shotgun. Look at that guy. Look at that signal caller. Look at what he's able to do. You're always going to have a chance to win if that guy's your quarterback. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I'd want to play there in Philadelphia. Look at Nick Sirianni getting along with these players. We thought it was silly. Nick Sirianni wearing the T-shirt of Brandon Graham or dressing up for Halloween as Jalen Hurts like he did 2 years ago. What? What is that? Whatever it is, we think it's hokey. We think it's corny. We might think it's pandering. To hell with what we think in that locker room. It resonates. You want to talk about the flower power speeches? Oh, this guy, myself included, the dumbass I can be. Flower power? I'm out. Meanwhile, everybody else in that locker room. This is our coach, man. Our guy's crying at the national anthem. Players are seeing this. I want to play for that guy. It really is amazing. It really is amazing. Buda Baker sees it. Buda Baker is worth every penny the Eagles could give him. 27 years old, all-pro safety. Been a minute. Love to see what he could do here in Philadelphia. I would love to see what Sean Desai would do with him. Talk about a safety that could play versatile. Good Lord. Guy plays all over the place. The Eagles love that versatile safety. I would love to see what he could bring to the table here in Philadelphia. There's two willing parties. There is a drive from Buda Baker to come here to Philadelphia and win. There's a drive from Buda Baker to come here to Philadelphia and enjoy the culture that has been established by Jason Kelsey, Brandon Graham, Fletcher Cox, furthered by Nick Sirianni. And then the ultimate chance to win with a quarterback like Jalen Hurts. Oh, and a guy that can manipulate the cap, letting everybody, and Howie Roseman. A lot of things are going into this. Oh, did they have the draft capital to make some moves? They got the draft capital to make some moves. It just seems like the stars are aligning for the Eagles to get Buda Baker. And one of the biggest forces behind this is the fact that Buda Baker wants to be here. If you're Howie Roseman, and every time I would talk to Schefter on the radio, Schefter would always talk about how if there is something to be done, the Eagles are on the phone. Even if it's a due diligence call, the Eagles definitely are raising their eyebrows, thinking maybe we can make this happen. And Howie Roseman, I'm sure once he saw that clip, if he didn't know it already, after he probably made a call just to kick the tires, see what was going on, I am sure that maybe there's something here. And maybe it's a headache relieved for the Cardinals. Maybe it's a headache relieved for Jonathan Gannon, knowing that the guy who wants to leave the team that he just started coaching. Well, hey, I know those Eagles pretty well. Let's try to get something done here and make everybody happy. Just saying is all. That's what I'm rooting for. And not just rooting for, that's what I think has a very, very good chance of actually happening. So we will see if that is able to come to fruition. Seeing everybody in the chat already. What's going on? Nice to see you guys. Pop over here. Good morning, everybody else over here. Nice to see you on the Jacob YouTube channel as well. Before we get to Paul Hudrick, and also let me know in the chat, when it comes to the Sixers, are you guys like just focused on the second round? Like, here's what it feels like to me. It feels like if the Philadelphia Eagles had to play the Cowboys in week 17, in week 18 to make the playoffs. I feel like I'm in week 17 now. That's what I feel like. I mean, like, it's just week 17, and you're playing like the Chargers. Like, okay, this beat the Chargers, it's fine, whatever, but just get to the Cowboys. That's what I feel like. This game's fine. It's an opponent that I don't care about, but the next week, and I know in the NFL, teams get in trouble if they do that, when they do that. We're not playing in the game. We're not coaching the game. We can look ahead. And I'm looking ahead, baby. I'm looking ahead. Ooh. I hate to admit it, but that's honestly how I feel. You know, this is how it goes for me. And I was thinking about this yesterday. I want to tell you guys this too, because I want to bring you into my awful brain. The idea of hot takes is obviously something that has run rampant in our society, okay? So I'm watching the Sixers do exactly what I thought they would do in the second half against the Nets, which was they were down 5 at halftime. They were turning the ball over at an alarming rate. They weren't hitting threes and all that stuff. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, they're going to win. I'm like, they're going to win this game at the half. And I even put it in writing. I tweeted it out there. I was like, this is what's going to happen. Just bold prediction here, sarcastically. Bold prediction. Sixers aren't going to turn the ball over as much. Sixers are going to go into this, come out at halftime. They're going to shoot better from three. They're going to do a better job of protecting the basketball. They're going to win this basketball game. And that's exactly what happened. They're a better team, a much better team than the Nets. They can afford to play terrible at times and then rally and win. Now, I think they sweep the series. If they don't sweep the series, I won't be blown away. I won't be shocked. But as I'm watching all this unfold in the second half of game 2, I was like, they're going to win this game. They are going to win this. I'm bored with this. I'm bored with this. Like, and then I thought, this is where you come into my dark recesses of my brain. I was like, oh, that's a hot take. I told myself, that's a hot take. You're bored? You're bored with the playoff team? You're bored with a team that won another 50-plus wins? And I'm like, well, that's just it. Another 50-plus win season. They've done this before. They're a 3 seed. They've been a 1 seed and they've choked. Like, I'm having this internal argument with myself. And I know that that's how it goes. And then I get on the phone with a friend or I start texting with a friend and we're having the same kind of argument. Like, oh, that's a hot take. That's not a hot take. I'm like, how is it a hot take to tell you exactly how I feel? And really what it comes down to is we have seen this show before. We've seen a team play great in the regular season. We've seen Joel Embiid play at an MVP caliber. I do believe he will be the MVP this year. We've seen it before. And there's one saving grace that I'll get into with Paul Hudrick in a second. But we've seen this show before. Now just give me the different ending. Give me the ending that gives us a little bit more hope. If not for this year, for next year. And next year could be a very different looking team without James Harden, by the way. We'll get into that when it's time to unpack it. But right now, I got to tell you how I feel, honestly. the Sixers are going to do in this series what I thought they were going to do in this series, which is sweep. No mercy. No, we're going to take it easy for this one game. No mercy. But I'm watching it and I'm just like, yeah, just get through this. I know there's something. It's a small, tiny appetizer that you kind of like when you know you're getting your favorite entree right after. You're just looking ahead to that. That's what I'm at right now. I got a nice little bruschetta right here, and I'm looking over there, and a nice thing of like rigatoni bolognese. That's what I got. That's what I'm waiting for. Let me tell you about Steven Singer. Steven Singer Jewelers, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right there on Jewelers Row. The other corner of 8th and Walnut, where you get the perfect price each and every day online at IHateStevenSinger.com. That's IHateStevenSinger.com. Steven Singer Jewelers, one place, one price, perfect price. Online at IHateStevenSinger.com. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopedics guest line and talk to our friend Paul Hudrick about all things Sixers, where I confess to him, a man who bases his life on the Sixers, that I am bored, in fact. Here's Paul. On the Rothman Orthopedics guest line, our dear friend, the man of 1,000 faces, the man of 1,000 hairstyles, and just all of them, they're just better looking than the next, if you ask me. Paul Hudrick of Liberty Ballers. What's going on there, Paulie?
Well, after that introduction, how wonderful. Very kind of you. I'm just along for the ride here, and the hair, it's, I'll be honest with you, it's getting a little out of control, but we're going to donate it at the end of the season whenever that comes, and I'll actually be kind of glad to see it go. I'll be honest.
Good for you, man. Hey, I gotta confess something to you, and I feel we're close enough friends where I can tell you this, and you won't judge me. I'm bored, Paul. I'm bored. I was entertained, I will say that, by the 76ers regular season. I was entertained by what will most likely be Joel Embiid's first MVP. But when it comes to the overall accomplishment of the team, I'm just worried about the second round. I'm not even everything else has been a warm up to getting past the first round of the playoffs to get to the second round. Am I wrong? Am I wrong for being bored, Paul? Am I wrong?
I wouldn't necessarily say you're wrong, and I think there's a lot of people that would agree with you. I would say probably the majority of fans agree with you because for a multitude of reasons. One being the second round is what I think everyone's had their eye on all season. When you're dealing with a team like the Sixers who's had their struggles getting past the second round year after year after year, I get that from the fan base. And the other thing I would say too is when you look at the Sixers and the Nets, the talent disparity, it's big. And a lot of the Nets wins happened when Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving were playing for them. They are no longer there. This is a team that wasn't very good after the All-Star break. They have, as we've seen, some good young players. Mikal Bridges, I think, is going to be good. Really, really good for a very long time. I like Cam Johnson, as we saw him in the first half go nuts in game 2. He's another very good player. They have a lot of good players, but they're not Joel Embiid. They're not James Harden. They're not Tyrese Maxey. I mean, this is just the talent disparity is so wide that I think with the Sixers, it's just a matter of, as we saw in game 2, when they're locked in, when they're focused, they are just such a better team that the games are, they should win every game. Honestly, this should be a sweep. It might not be because it's still the NBA. It's still the playoffs. It's hard to beat a team every single night. But I think those are the two biggest factors when you're talking about why you might be bored and why some others might be bored. It's that. The other thing I would say is part of the enjoyment of being and I don't have to tell you this, I'm just reiterating it.
I understand.
Part of the enjoyment of following a team is the highs and lows and dealing with, the second round exits. And that's why if they do win in the second round, you're going to be so happy is because of all the failure. So I think this is just all part of, forgive me, the process of going through a season. And, I think everyone, when it's Sixers, Celtics in like a week or so, we'll all have a lot more juice.
Mm-hmm. Here's where I was at. Halftime, game 2, Sixers were only trailing by 5. They'd only shot 25% from beyond the arc. They had 11 turnovers at that point. And I'm thinking to myself, they're going to win this game because they're that much better of a team. And they're only down 5 to a team that is far inferior to them. They're going to win this game. And that's when I really realized. I was like, oh my God, I'm a jerk. I'm bored. They're going to come back and they're going to win this game. They're going to shoot better from 3. They're not going to turn the basketball over as much. And wouldn't you know it, Paul? That's exactly what happened in the second half. They dominated the second half against the Nets. And now, for me, I don't know about you, I'm thinking sweep or bust. That's where I was the start of the series. Now I'm thinking they complete that sweep. Seth Curry, I thought, was going to have that game where he was just going to dominate the Sixers and we're all going to be kicking ourselves. And same thing, like a guy like Mikal Bridges was going to have his way with the Sixers. And those two guys were really going to match up, link up, and then dominate one of the games. I just don't see it happening at this point. Where are you at?
Yeah, I'm with you. I actually thought it's funny because I actually thought the Nets played a better game in game one because they, at least offensively, I thought they did. I thought defensively they were clearly better in the first half of game two. But overall, I thought, and the Sixers shot the lights out in game one. And I think too, Mark, like when you look at the way, and I'm sure we're going to get into it, and you look at the way they're defending Joel Embiid, that's your signal that they know that they don't have a chance. Like really, like, and I'm not saying that's not to take a shot at the Nets, but it's like you don't play like this unless you know this is your only chance. Is to just, and even Jacques Vaughn has said that, like, create havoc, try to force turnovers, try to basically make the game a track meet and a mess, and that's the only way they're going to win. They accomplished it for parts of one half of basketball. They also got aided again by a guy like Cam Johnson, had 22 points in the first half, had 6 in the second half. Like, they just don't have Bridges is good. He's ascending, but even he, like in the first game, he had like 24 in the first half and had like, I think 8 in the second. Like, they don't have that guy that can just kind of get them through. The Sixers have, as we've seen, if you take Joel Embiid away, they have this guy named James Harden who was really good in game one. If you take away both of them, they have this guy named Tyrese Maxey who was really good in game two. And the unsung guy to me, Tobias Harris, has been really good in both games. So I think with the Sixers, I think what you're seeing is, and they talked about this at practice today, is this is a team that has multiple ways to win. And so unless you also have multiple ways to win and you have the talent to match them, it's going to be a really hard thing. They're going to be a really hard team to beat. And this Nets team just doesn't have the talent and just can't compete with them.
Mm-hmm. How concerned should I be with James Harden and what has been talked about so many times, the James Harden playoff exit before the team's playoff exit? Where are you at on James Harden? Are you going to ride a high with him into the playoffs? Do you think he's going to disappear? What's your confidence level right now on James Harden helping this team not only reach the second round, of course, but get past it?
It's a little concerning the way he's not been able to finish inside the arc. I will say the Nets do have, we talk about the young talent they have. They do have it. I mean, they have long, really good athletic defenders, and that's been a problem for James Harden. And, unfortunately, the team they play next does not have a shortage of those things either. So the inability to finish inside the arc is a little bit concerning. Now, I never like to look at officiating. It's just not something I love to do. But I will say I do kind of agree with Joel Embiid's assessment that you're talking about a guy in James Harden who has the 6th most made free throws in NBA history. He does not have a free throw through 2 games. Now, some credit goes to the Nets. They've done really well to defend him without fouling. But you're going to tell me, because he's tried. He's gone to the rim. He's gotten to the rim. He's tried to draw contact. You're going to tell me this guy has not gotten fouled a single time? Like, something doesn't add up there. So, and I will say, I think in general, the first 2 games, and I get it's the playoffs and it tends to happen, but I'd say even from a playoff standard, man, they've been really letting them play. And it's fine. To me, like, there's been no inconsistency, right? Like, they've been calling it both ways. Like, neither team has really gotten calls. Like, they've been letting the physicality go. They've been letting a lot of stuff go, which I'm okay with as long as you keep it consistent. So I think certain part of that is James' issue is that he went from having, one of the greatest whistles ever for like a decade to now having the complete opposite of that. How ironic that now he's in Philadelphia. That's when that's happening. But it does seem clear that he does have a little bit of a target on his back when it comes to officials. With that said, he's got to find a way. He's a great player. He's got to find a way to finish. He's got to find a way to be better at the rim. I will say it's encouraging that he's getting by people and getting to the rim. I think that's actually an encouraging sign. But if you're a Sixers fan, I certainly understand your concern that he's not been able to finish. And that's something he's going to have to rectify in this series. And if they have any chance, to your point before, if they have any chance of beating a team like Boston, he's going to have to do it in the second round.
No one likes us. We don't care. unless you're a referee or an umpire. Those are the two people that we care whether or not you like us. As far as the defense, you mentioned the defense on Joel Embiid in this series with the Nets here. It does remind me a little bit of Toronto, not just in the begging for foul calls or arguing foul calls left and right, but it's not necessarily just double teaming. It's swarming. It's just kind of all hands on deck just to start the one man they know that could beat them. And it looks like Joel Embiid, and I thought he's done a tremendous job of this really throughout the season, better than I've seen him do throughout his career, finding the next open man. Not forcing something in his own right, but trying to find the next guy that's open, whether that be Tyrese Maxey, whether that be James Harden, whether that be Tobias Harris, or whether that be corner three playoff PJ Tucker. I think he's done a much better job of having court vision throughout his play this whole season, and I think it's really showing in the first two games of this series.
100%. And I would say, like, this strategy is even more brazen than what the Toronto Raptors did. Like, this is like they're doubling him when he catches the ball at the 3-point line. Like, this is like audacious. I don't know if I've ever seen a player this aggressively double teamed and trapped ever. And it just speaks to how great Joel Embiid is. But like you said, his decision making through two games, I think, has been excellent. There was a lot of talk about how the trusts his teammates. Doc Rivers talked about, well, one of those things is he has better teammates. We don't have to get into where maybe he was going with that one, but he clearly trusts Tyrese Maxey. Tyrese Maxey, I would say out of the guys that I've seen Joel play with outside of maybe Jimmy Butler, Tyrese Maxey might be the guy he likes the most. You just see that connection there. Certainly trusts him. He definitely trusts James Harden. Even Tobias. Look, he's been with Tobias for like 5 years now, which is crazy to say, but they've been together for a while. So there's definitely a trust there. PJ Tucker, a guy he begged Daryl Morey to go out and get. So I think there is this trust that he has with those teammates. And then I just think it's growth from him, because in years past, he would have been frustrated by the way by the way the Nets had been playing. He was even a little bit frustrated last year with the way Toronto's was playing him. Now his attitude is, okay, if you're going to do this, we're too good. Like, we're too good of a team. So I'm just going to get it to the next guy, because if you want to leave Tyrese Maxey, who I think finished, like top 5 in 3-point percentage. I think in the second half, he was like analytically the best 3-point shooter in the NBA. If you want to leave that guy wide open, if you want to leave Tobias Harris and PJ Tucker, who both shoot over 40% from 3 in the corners wide open, go for it. And then I'm gonna bury you that way. And I think that's his attitude. And it's kind of like it's almost like a in their face kind of thing. Like, okay, fine. Like, this is how you want to play it. This is how I'm going to play it back. And through two games, it's very clear that the Sixers have the advantage there. And it's in no small part because of Embiid. And I think you had to give him credit. Like, I wrote about it today for Liberty Ballers. It's this idea of so many people disparage him for being, just a high volume scorer. But I think what Game 2 highlighted is he's so much more than that. And we didn't even touch on defensively how great he was in the second half, how he kind of took the game over on that end of the floor when they went to that zone. So, this is a guy, like, there is a reason why he's probably going to win the MVP. And you see just the way, the maturity level, the growth that he's shown through two games, I think is really impressive.
Absolutely. All right, a couple more for you here, Paul. All right, so now that I'm bored with the whole series here with the Nets, blah, blah, blah. Let's just say it. Like, what are you feeling for the second round? What's the confidence level that the Sixers can make it into a conference finals for the first time since Allen Iverson was the MVP of the league, since the last time Allen Iverson was playing for the Sixers squad? What is your confidence level in the Sixers being better than, let's say, the Celtics in that second round?
If I have to pick right now today, I'm picking the Boston Celtics. With that said, this Sixers team has the best chance outside of the, there are two other times where I thought they maybe should have gone to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Okay.
The year that they had Jimmy Butler,
definitely,
and that they lost to Toronto, of course, they lose to Kawhi in that Game 7 shot. And then the year they have the Hawks, if Ben Simmons can make a free throw, they probably are in the Eastern Conference Finals, like, flat out. But I'll say this team is just as good on paper as we sit here through the regular season, through the first round, than either of those teams. And I could see ways that they could be even better than those teams, because and again, they talked about it practice today. They have so many ways to beat you. They can win in a shootout. They can win in an ugly defensive battle. If you trap Joel Embiid, they have counters to that. If you're able to stop James Harden, they have counters to that. You can't stop everybody on this team. And I think that's what they showed, especially, again, the last game. You had Tyrese Maxey going for 30-plus points, Tobias Harris going for 20-plus points. And the counter to that is that the Celtics are so good and they're so deep. So they have ways to defend it. I'm so curious how they're going to defend Joel Embiid. I do not think they're going to do what the Brooklyn Nets are doing, because I think they believe their defense and their talent is enough that they don't have to do that. And I also think when you look at the last game that the Sixers played against the Celtics, Joel Embiid scored 52 points, and the Celtics almost won that game.
Yeah.
You look at the game before that in Philly.
And they were shorthanded.
You look at the game in Philly when Joel dropped 41, and he was terrific in that game. Celtics won that game. So I almost wonder if the Celtics strategy will almost be like, okay, this guy's going to get his. Yeah, we're going to pay a little extra attention to him, but we're not going to crush and crumble our entire defensive strategy just because of this one guy. If he scored, let's make him average 40 and 50 points a game in order just to beat us and hope that he wears down. Now, that strategy might not work because Joel Embiid is great, and he might do that. He might score 40 or 50 if you allow him to do so. But I just think this team is better equipped to handle better equipped to handle the issues that we've seen in the past. Like, they have a legitimate half-court offense. They didn't have that when Ben Simmons was here, frankly speaking. They just didn't have it. They have a better and deeper bench with more versatile players than they've maybe ever had. Look back at that Toronto team. It was Mike Scott and James Ennis. Those are the only two guys that Brett Brown even played off the bench as that series wore on. And those guys aren't even in the league now. So to now have, DeAnthony Melton as your sixth man, to have a Jalen McDaniels off your bench, to have options, whether it's, a George Niang or Daniel House, because I think that's a matchup thing where Daniel House might actually be the guy against Boston because of their athleticism, because of Georgia's struggles in the regular season against the Celtics. Paul Reed has really solidified that backup 5 spot. And if he struggles, you can go to PJ Tucker at the 5. So I just think there are counters, there are options. So yeah, I would pick the Celtics if you ask me right now, but I think the Sixers have a really good chance in that series.
Let me just comment on something here. The Jimmy Butler Sixers team was the best Sixers team I've seen. And I think that team beats the team that lost to the Hawks and the team that's going to play against the Celtics as of right now. I think this Sixers team is definitely better than the one that lost to the Hawks, but the only one that I think really competes with them is the Jimmy Butler-led Sixers that lost on the quadruple doink that you referenced a second ago. That's where I'm at right now. However, there is something to be said, and we certainly experienced it in 2001 with Allen Iverson. There is something to be said about a player just having a magical year, being the best player on the floor. And if you're the MVP of the league and you're the guy carrying that into the postseason, there's one bright spot that I have, and I think it should be everybody's bright spot, is that you got Embiid. And if you got Embiid, I know Jason Tatum is incredible and all that, but that's the one thing that gives me hope that this team could actually make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I know he's got to be great. But how much do you got to see, or what do you need to see from Tobias Harris continued? What do you need to see from Tyrese Maxey continued? What do you need to see from James Harden in order to make sure that this team does make it past that second round?
So, real quick, my counter to the Jimmy Butler team.
Okay, sure, yeah.
The trade, they got him late, if you remember. They got him in, I think, November.
Yeah.
Teams that make big trades like that, and then they made the trade for Tobias Harris as well at the deadline.
That was the deadline,
that make trades like that historically, that doesn't work out. They don't win championships. You look at, the Nets or the Suns very well might still win a championship this year, but you see how they've kind of struggled through 2 games, acclimating as talented as they are.
You're right.
Acclimating their new pieces, it can be difficult. And then I would also say this version of Joel Embiid compared to that version of Joel Embiid, night and day. And he was really good then. Now he is a superstar, like we said, probably the MVP of the league.
And he had the poops.
Yeah.
Don't forget, he had the poops.
He did have the poops, and he's also dealing with he had the knee tendonitis that was also an issue.
That's right.
So he had a bunch of stuff going on, but he's just such a better player. I don't even think it's comparable. That's how better a player he is.
I agree.
But with the Celtics, I'm with you that I think Joel Embiid's going to be Joel Embiid. He's going to be great. He's going to get his. He's going to figure it out. some of my bigger concerns, as I've already touched on James Harden, where I think he's got to be able to finish the rim here and there. Doesn't have to live there, but just here and there to suck the defense in, because then that makes his playmaking more effective. That makes that step back three more effective. It just makes him a better basketball player in general. Tyrese Maxey's got to figure out what kind of went wrong for him against Boston, because he struggled through 4 games. He did not play well against the Celtics. It is a tough matchup for him. They have a lot of guards that can defend at a high level. They have Marcus Smart. They have Derek White. They have Malcolm Brogdon. They have, even Tatum and Brown, Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Like, they have players that are really good. And then they have guys that are good at defending the rim. When you're talking about Al Horford, you're talking about Robert Williams. They have a really good mix of players that can kind of quiet him a little bit. Now, I think part of it too was in his head by the end of it. So I think he needs to figure out ways to get himself going. And when they do pay so much attention to Joel Embiid, when they do pay so much attention to James Harden, he's got to take advantage. He's got to find and pick his spots. With Tobias Harris, it is always quick decisions. The guy just has to not think out there, because his biggest issue to me is that he gets in his own head. When he is playing fast, when he's either taking the open three or looking to get downhill and then finishing and just decisively finishing. We saw that in game 2. That was actually the most encouraging thing I think about his game is, him playing in that dunker spot and finishing at the rim strong. That's not something he's necessarily always been great at. Now, going to get tougher when you have to play the Boston Celtics, but that is an encouraging sign to me. And I think everyone else just has to be who they are, right? Like PJ Tucker has to be a loose ball machine, has to play great defense, has to hit corner threes. D'Anthony Melton, same thing. He's going to have to, log some tough minutes against Tatum, against Brown, and he's got to hit open threes. Jalen McDaniels, pretty much the same thing. And he's got to bring the energy. He's got to, crash the offensive glass. He's got to, be switchable. He's got to not commit fouls, which he's struggled with during the season and struggled a little bit with in this series. Same for Paul Reed. So and then I think for Doc Rivers, I respectfully, I really like George Niang. I think, his shooting, it could be game changing when he's hot. You've seen him hit like 4 or 5 threes in a row and change games. With that said, this Boston team is so athletic and just has so much depth and athleticism on the wings that I think Daniel House might be the guy. So is Doc going to have a quick trigger there? Is he going to move away from George if he's struggling? So I think it's a big series from Doc Rivers. I've been encouraged, I will say, about some of the things Doc has done through 2 games, but does that continue through the Boston series? I'm very intrigued.
All right. I think we've said all we can say about the Sixers team right now going into game 3 against the Nets. So let's totally change the subject. Last thing I'm asking you, Paul, are you in or out on Bijan Robinson?
Oh, man.
Are you taking Bijan at 10?
Not a 10. If they trade back.
Okay.
Which I don't know if I necessarily love the idea of trading back. I mean, it looks like the edge guys are going to be gone. Their defensive linemen are going to be gone.
Yeah.
Looks like the top D-backs are going to be gone. So yeah, I mean, they're probably going to draft another offensive lineman. We're all grown. And then the guy's going to listen, but then the guy's going to be an all-pro for like a decade. And then we're all going to be like, oh yeah, smart move. Should have done that.
Yeah, right. The guy he goes a decade without allowing a sack. Yeah, one of those.
Exactly.
Yeah. We all boo.
Lane Johnson.
Right. Exactly. He's going to be another
Lane Johnson. Sit for a year, and then it'll be Lane Johnson. And then
exactly.
We'll all look like idiots.
Paul, you do a wonderful job. Make sure you guys read everything Paul puts out there at Liberty Ballers. Check it all out there, right there, libertyballers.com. Follow him on Twitter, of course. The great Paul Hudrick joining us here. Paul, always great catching up with you, brother. Thanks so much.
Yeah, and I appreciate you having me on for the most boring time of the year, apparently. I really appreciate it.
He's a good man. He's a good man, that Paul Hudrick. Always enjoy whenever he's able to stop by the program. I think he's got me there. He might have me. But there's something about just having Jimmy Butler that tells me that team would still win. The quadruple doink team. And the Sixers still have to get past the Celtics. That's what has to happen in order for me to believe that the Sixers are better than that Jimmy Butler team. I know that might seem trivial to some. Celtics, by the way, are up 2-0 on the Hawks. They play tomorrow. They play game 3 tomorrow in Atlanta. So we'll, of course, stay all over that series. Let me tell you about the great people at Manscaped. Manscaped.com. You like Manscaped? You want to use Manscaped? Use promo code Farzy for 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Use promo code Farzy, get all those discounts, and join 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped. Get their Platinum Package 4.0, which includes their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, as well as their Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer. And they do come with skin-safe technology that helps reduce the risk of nicks so you can manscape with confidence and comfort. So go to manscaped.com. Trust the good people of Manscaped. How about Freestone Farm CBD at freestonefarmcbd.com? Ooh, you'll love their tropical tasting Bayox clocks in at a chart-topping 24.1%. And Super CBD, which is half Hindu, Kush, and 21%. Genetics of these guys are off the charts. So try Freestone Farm CBD at freestonefarmcbd.com. Enjoy all Freestone Farm CBD has to offer. How about the amazing people at PHL Sports Station, Philadelphia Sports Station, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's phlsportstation.com. In case I didn't do it during the interview, make sure you check out all things Paul Hudrick at Liberty Ballers, libertyballers.com, and throw him a follow at Paul Hudrick on Twitter. Let's get to the chat check. See how you guys are doing. I'm going to start over on Jacob today. I'm going to go Jacob today. Sean Kilrain, I think you're in both chats. You sly dog, you. Sean Kilrain, good morning. Go Sixers, good morning. Sean Gillespie, good morning. Sean Gillespie, how can anyone as a Sixers fan not be concerned with the second round considering our history? Thank you. Thank you, Sean Gillespie. Sean Gillespie, Boston looks very good. Boston looks excellent. Boston looks excellent is what Boston looked. Here's the thing. In the early goings of the season, Jason Tatum was the front runner for MVP. Like, I'm talking about the first month or two of the season. And then you started to see the Celtics have a struggle or two. Then you started to see Joel Embiid really start to take advantage of the fact that he's the most dominant center in the NBA. And then it became Joker and Embiid and Giannis, and Tatum kind of fell off a little bit. But he is still really good. And the thing that really bothers me, man, is that the Celtics just find a way. The Sixers won that last game of the season. Celtics were obviously shorthanded. The Celtics were shorthanded in that last game in Boston, I want to say. And Blake Griffin ends up hitting 7 threes in that game. So cool. Boston just finds a way. The thing that does give me the optimism, as I alluded to before the interview with Paul and talked about in the interview with Paul, is the one thing that gives me optimism that the 76ers will have the best player on the floor. The best player on the floor is Joel Embiid. He needs to be better than Tatum. He needs to be better than Brown. He obviously needs to be better than Al Horford. And I think in recent games, he has proven that he can get away from the man strength that Al Horford used to dominate him with defensively and throw his own weight around. And he certainly did that to the tune of 52 points the last time they met up. But the Celtics, again, were shorthanded in that game. You're going to have a full-blown roster this time around. It's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. But the biggest thing I have for optimism here is that the Sixers will have the MVP of the season on their team in the name of Joel Embiid. It seemed to work out rather well for the Sixers when Allen Iverson was pulling strings for the Sixers, making things happen. You didn't have really an offensively talented team other than AI, and that was the whole idea. That's why you put Eric Snow and George Lynch, and that's why you had Aaron McKee coming off the bench. You had defense. That's why you got Dikembe Mutombo, the Defensive Player of the Year. You got those guys because AI was your offense. Very simple. Plain and simple there. AI was your offense. He carried the team. Joel Embiid has to be the defensive version of Joel Embiid we all know he could be, a Defensive Player of the Year worthy candidate. And he's got to be the MVP when it comes to being the leading scorer in the NBA. That's what gives me the little bit of confidence I have. The Sixers will beat the Celtics in the second round of the playoffs if Joel Embiid is the best player on the floor. He's better than Tatum. He's better than Brown. Better than anybody that can throw his way. That's what will give me confidence that the Sixers will win that game or win that series. Miss Scusi. Overall as a team, the Celtics just demand a lot of respect. I hate to admit it, but they demand a lot of respect. Fuji, what's going on? Happy Thursday to you. A, what's up, A? He just says, let's bleep and go here with the Sixers. A also says, good morning. I like a, let's effing go. Good morning, everybody. PJ says, good morning. April says, good morning to PJ. Sean's in this chat as well. Sean Kilrain's in this chat as well. So is Sean Gillespie. The Sean's, man, just bouncing around. I love it. Farzy gets a thumbs up on 2 channels. Oh, thanks, Go Sixers. Sean Gillespie, not even being up 3-0 as a Sixers fan is comfortable with our current coach. I gotta say, this season, I think the biggest blemish on Doc Rivers' season is Tyrese Maxey. That's the biggest blemish. And what I mean by that is having Tyrese Maxey come off the bench for the amount of games, like what, 20 games, 30 games that he came off the bench for? That's don't like that. Nope. Don't like that even a little bit. He's a starter. Needs to be in the starting lineup. He earned that last year. And now with his three-point prowess, oh, baby. Love what he's bringing to the table for the Sixers this year. That's the biggest blemish on Doc Rivers' season. I give credit, though, for Doc Rivers. I think he's had one of his best seasons as a head coach. When you look at the fact that you have now finally an MVP, I believe, in Joel Embiid, and I actually believe it's going to happen this time. He's not going to get snubbed. And I also think you have the points, the points leader in the NBA in Joel Embiid, and the assist leader in James Harden. You know what that tells me? Oh, and an emerging star like Tyrese Maxey. You know what that tells me? That tells me that whatever system or game plan you implemented, whatever you like to install before the season, whatever your philosophy was with this team going into the season, it worked. You don't accomplish that without good coaching. I know that people, you did it in spite of. Well, it didn't work to the point that it should have last year, and this year it did. So something tells me that you got to give coaching a little bit of credit in that. In the NBA, I believe more so than anything, it really does come down to players. And I think Doc Rivers, in the small percentage that a coach can have when it comes to when you're doing a good job. If you're doing a bad job, I think it rings throughout and everything blows up. But when you're doing a good job, I think that helps keep everything together. And overall, I think Doc Rivers did a very good job with the Sixers this year. We talked about this on Fox 29 last week. They threw the question out to me and Eitan for basketballed for that segment, if you catch it. And the question was, how do you evaluate Doc Rivers? And Eitan was like, he's terrible, he's awful. And I agreed with every point he made, except for this year. This is 1 year where I can look at Doc Rivers and say, hey, Doc, nice job. Not, oh my God, this guy's terrible. Look at the timeout he called. It was a well-placed timeout in the third quarter against the Nets in Game 2. That was great. And for the most part this season, I think Doc Rivers has done a very good job. I don't think he's been god-awful. I don't think he's been Duck Rivers, but it does annoy the hell out of me when we see Duck Rivers ducking responsibility in the post-game press conference. Hey, why'd you guys lose today? Well, the players sucked. That's why. Well, what about coaching? How dare you ask me about coaching? Anyway. Would you ask Pop that question? Huh? Anyway. Hey, the Sixers will be gentlemen swept in the second round, unfortunately. I believe that's a five-game series. No faith, no faith. I go by past performances. As do I. I mean, the Sixers lost to the Celtics bench players when the Sixers were full strength. Also, when the Sixers did beat the Celtics only once this season, the Celtics didn't have Jaylen Brown. Yep, they were shorthanded. Mihai Sanchez, good morning, Mihai. What's going on? James Harden is the X factor. This playoff run means the legacy for him. I would love a game where James Harden goes off for like 35 points and hits like 5 threes, 6 threes in a game. Let's make that happen. Oh, and 15 assists. I would love that. New rule change definitely affect Harden and how the officials look at him. Certainly. And that's been, 3 years now? A says, is James Harden out of shape? Should slim down a bit, or is it me? I just think he's slow. I think whatever he's got was the hamstring. Whatever he's got has been bothering him. I don't think it's a weight thing for James Harden. I just think he looks slow. I don't think he's 100%, which is obviously an issue. Sixers have to play together on all cylinders. It's all for the taking, Farzy. Sean Kilrain, I love your attitude. I want to keep it on that. I want to keep it that way. April, thoughts on Scherzer? It was fun watching the Mets melt down yesterday. April, there's something about watching somebody you don't like, especially wearing a jersey you hate, be completely out of their mind over, it's just rosin. It's just rosin. It's nothing. It's just rosin. Well, you can't have it on your fingers. I don't know what to tell you, man. You just can't have it on your fingers. It's just rosin. I had a little fun with it on Twitter yesterday just by saying Girardi knew. Remember Girardi trotted out the umpires again in between innings to check Max Scherzer again? I think he's got something. I think I saw him go to his head or something. You got to check him out. And the umpire's like, well, so we got to do it. Max Scherzer taking his shirt off and everything. Oh, my God. It was my favorite moment of Joe Girardi being in Philadelphia, and there weren't many good moments, but that was my favorite. That was by far my favorite. That's just rosin. So anyway, he faces a 10-game suspension. Oh, it's so much fun. It's so much. To be fair, the Yankees got away with it. Case by case basis is what I'll go, April. But I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. But yes, April, you're right. It's fun to watch the Mets met. Oh man, that's such a good adjective. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are. I think I got everybody. Thanks to everybody in the chat. You guys are great as per usual. Wait, Sean Kilrain. I'm focused on the second round. That round has been our kryptonite. And you agree? I do agree. 1,000 billion, cajillion, bazillion %. Thanks everybody in the chat. You guys are great. Those on Jacob Media, thank you guys. Even though you guys are bouncing around from chat to chat, I love it. I absolutely love it. Let's get to the morning rush. Brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Phillies, the aforementioned Phillies, back at it tonight. 6:40 start time. Matt Strahm against Ryan Feltner. Feltner, as I told you earlier, 0-2 on the season, 8.78 ERA on the year, 15 strikeouts, 11 walks. Patience today, Phillies. I preach patience. Strahm looking to bounce back. Had a bit of a rough go of it his last time out, did the lefty. Still a 2.13 ERA. Was taken for 3 runs, all of them earned, and 2 2/3 against Cincinnati Reds in that 13-0 loss that they suffered against the Reds. Just 2 2/3 innings pitched in that game. Did walk 3 with 6 strikeouts. Hopefully he gets back on a good track. Ranger Suarez, hopefully you get him back sooner rather than later. I still say Bryce Harper's back by the end of May, and all will be right with the world in that regard. Phillies also keep the bullpen going with what they've been able to do. I was looking it up. I crunched the numbers a little bit. Gregory Soto, ladies and gentlemen, allowed 4 runs, 3 of them earned on opening day. Since then, in 9 appearances, 1 run, it was earned, 3 hits, if I'm not mistaken, 4 hits, and 11 strikeouts. I knew I wrote these numbers down. 1 run, 1 hit, 4 walks, 12 strikeouts. There you go. Since opening day, we allowed 3 earned runs. In his 9 appearances, 1 run, 1 hit, 4 walks, 12 strikeouts. Nice job, Gregory Soto, in righting the ship. Craig Kimbrell, as I mentioned, has been great. Sir Anthony Dominguez hopefully has turned it around. And Jose Alvarado looks like he's taken over that closer role rather well. Sixers, ladies and gentlemen, back at it tonight. Game 3 in Brooklyn. Sixers looking to go up 3-0 in their series with the Brooklyn Nets. I know that the popular opinion is that the 76ers are going to come out tonight. 7:30 tip-off, by the way. The Sixers are going to come out tonight, and they might be a little flat. They might be a little rusty after the layoff, but they weren't rusty after their long layoff at the end of the season of their first playoff game. They were on point. I think the Sixers continue to dominate. I think the Sixers continue to show no mercy. I think the Sixers dominate tonight. I think they beat the Brooklyn Nets. I think they go up 3-0 in the series. No gentleman's sweep, just a straight sweep. But yeah, 7:20 start time tonight. 7:30 start time tonight. I'm still thinking baseball. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Tomorrow, Derek Gunn will join the show. We'll break down the Eagles draft as we will all through next week. And Monday, I'll tell you the 5 players I'm most comfortable with the Eagles drafting in the draft at 10. I might work out a couple scenarios outside that where they move up or they move back. But I'll give you 5 players that I'm most excited about for the week of the NFL draft. Derek Gunn will get our coverage started with that tomorrow. Derek Gunn and I are going to talk tonight. We'll air that interview tomorrow. Derek Gunn of Sports Take, of course, does the Eagles pregame show with me, does the postgame show as well with Mike Missinelli and Seth Joyner and John McMullen. We'll have a full week previewing the NFL draft starting next week, but we're going to get it started a day early tomorrow, as Derek Gunn will join the show and he'll give us his take on Budda Baker, as well as where the Eagles go and what they do with their 10th overall pick and their 30th overall pick as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Jim Hyden produced the program. Great to have you back, Jim. Paul Hudrick joined the show. It was great catching up with Paul. We'll be back with you guys tomorrow with Derek Gunn on the program. Have a great rest of your day. This is the Farzy Show presented by Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See ya.